Welcome to the Hidden Dagger Inn.
Greetings, citizens, and welcome back to the Hidden Dagger Inn. After hearing about the Phase 3 delay, and realizing my leveling plans were completely derailed since I'll no longer have that time off, I knew that I had to reset my focus. So I took a short break and jumped into ArcheAge Classic for a little bit to pass the time. Honestly, it turned out to be the best decision I could have made. It reignited my passion for Ashes of Creation, and I'm playing a fully released MMO that only deepens my appreciation for what Steven's long-term vision is. And, of course, the first system I jumped back into was, yeah, you guessed it, fishing. This one system may quietly determine how immersive and sustainable the world of Ashes Creation truly becomes. Given that Steven has named ArcheAge as his favorite game, it's no surprise that Ashes of Creation draws significant inspiration from it. Now, fishing might sound mundane to some, but for veteran MMO players, especially those who experienced ArcheAge, it was anything but. It was content, economy, risk, and roleplay, and a lifestyle all rolled into one.
Absolutely. I mean, fishing is definitely a treasured favorite amongst a lot of MMO gamers.
Well, it doesn't
But
have fishing. It's not an MMO. Let's be honest.
that's right. I'm a big fan of fishing. Our goal with fishing is twofold. We kind of want to have one side of fishing be, location based freshwater fishing that is a bit more AFK related, having the necessary bait, being able to kind of pick locations and resource nodes that exist around the world for different types of fish. And then we want to kind of have a more sports fishing, interactive gameplay layer that's a part of the fishing. And we might extend some of that gameplay layer to the freshwater fishing.
He was originally against AFK fishing, but it sounds like there might be a version of it that's tied to bait fishing. And from the sounds of it, interactive fishing seems like a possibility for freshwater fishing, and we know it's going to be part of sport fishing. But now Ashes faces a vital decision. Will it follow ArcheAge's tried and tested model, or fall into punishing mechanics that turn potential anglers into landlocked crafters? In ArcheAge, fishing boats were crafted through earned in-game currency, usually Guildastars. Once they were constructed, your boat became a summonable scroll. And if it was destroyed, which happened pretty frequently, you had to pay a small repair of 5 gold as you had to buy some Shadigan sand. And then you had to wait briefly for a 5-minute cooldown. Yes, you lost your fish, but you weren't locked out of the sea. You could get pretty much right back into it. This approach worked pretty well. It kept players engaged, willing to risk, and more importantly, allowed fishing to be fun, but not overly punishing. The frustration was temporary as you just had to wait for the cooldown. It wasn't permanent. You didn't have to rebuild your boat from scratch. So seeing as you didn't lose dozens of hours gathering rare resources, you could bounce back pretty fast. And that's what really mattered. So it's important to find out what direction is Ashes of Creation going to take, because the last thing they want to do is make it too punishing, where it's going to scare the fishermen away. So here's where the concern starts to creep in. In Ashes, we've already seen 2 competing models for the transportation systems. We have the caravans, which you have your chassis, carriages, and wheels, etc. Now, if you lose your caravan, you lose your cargo, but you also receive a total destruction upon its death. And then we have their current versions of the ship, which is the Caravl, which is crafted from 100 oak timber to make a hull, but costs an upfront gold sink of 25 gold. As someone who's lost multiple caravans and caravels, I can tell you it's devastating, especially with caravans. When you're using super high rarity materials for a stronger, faster caravan and run into the wrong crowd right out of the gate, oof, especially if you've never even completed your first run, the loss is soul crushing. And the same goes for caravels. Now, fortunately, with the Caravl, the time investment isn't nearly as great because you don't have to wait for the parts. You can just simply do the oak haul, which is relatively quick, and then pay 25 gold. But if you don't complete that run and you just lose 25 gold right out the gate, that's pretty brutal. So when it comes to Ash's fishing boats, the question is, will we be building them like caravans or buying them like caravels? And just as important, will destruction mean a complete loss or manageable recovery like in ArcheAge? I'm proposing a happy medium, a painful but playable. With the high seas being the highest risk and reward zones, there needs to be a happy medium that keeps fishing thrilling without making it unrewarding or inaccessible. So here's a few thoughts. Maybe a scroll and 5 gold is just too little. But also, maybe a total ship loss in 25 gold before you catch your first fish is also too much. Solution? Let higher tier nodes offer rentable fishing boats for, say, 10 gold for a specific time limit. Another option is, if you built a boat, and if the boat was destroyed, the player wouldn't lose it outright, but you'd need to take it to a shipwright. There, maybe the wheel or hull or rigging could just be repaired using a modest combo of gold and base materials as a resource and a gold sink. That still stings, but it doesn't chase players away. This way players still feel tension and loss, but not burnout. Now, some things Ashes has already got a jump start on as far as ArcheAge's fishing missteps. Fishing rods and tools and gear will be on the Artisan tab, meaning that the players don't have to re-equip it just to fight and aren't helpless if they get attacked. This often left players in ArcheAge vastly undergeared and easy targets for the nearby dirtbags. Steven has hinted at deep sea features like fish finders, boats, and holding tanks, all very important to fishing. Also gear-based progression systems. Hopefully we get a telescope attachment on boats to see incoming enemy ships. And that's a great foundation to start at. But there's another layer that could push this system from good to game defining. When it came to the high seas, fishing alone was peaceful, but it came with some serious risks. What ArcheAge made so magical was that fishing was a social event. Imagine a fishing vessel built for multiple fishermen, each with their own well tanks for storing their catches. A family-sized fishing boat equipped with cranes for hauling massive fish, fish finders that required active use, and maybe a harpoon that could double as defense against a kraken or to secure a big fish. With a larger sized fishing boat, you'd have shared incentives like group PvP protection, maybe faster fish hauling, better detection of enemy incoming ships, and more money. My hopes are that Ashes of Creation will lean into this. Why make fishing solo only when it could promote teamwork, coordination, and naval identity? If boats only store what the owner can catch, others are just passengers. But if the boat facilitates crew fishing, then that's the MMO Spirit right there. Let fishermen form crews, protect each other, and make the open seas less of a death sentence, and more of a calculated gamble with friends. Don't get me wrong, there's always a time and a place for a man flying solo with his pole on the water in search of his dream catch. Now moving on to this last topic with fishing boats. Steven mentioned crates.
These are massive fish that will relate to our crate system and how we move crates in caravans and in merchant ships.
Now, before I jump too much into the crates on the fishing boats, I do want to say that I absolutely am loving the crate system. It totally reminds me of ArcheAge's commerce system, and I can't wait to see what other vehicles they put out with it. With that being said, Steven teased the crates being involved in fish delivery, which could be useful, but only as like a secondary system in my mind. Fishermen want to catch fish, bring them to a fish stand, weigh, sell them, and get their gold and go back out. Crates, if mandatory, risk slowing down that loop. But if crates allow buying fish from the fish stands and then transporting them to, say, an alchemy lab or the marketplaces, well, then we have something useful for traders and crafters without punishing the fishermen themselves. So let the fish stands be the core of fishing, and let crates be the optional extension. Here's my final cast. Fishing just isn't another artisan system. It's a pillar of identity for many MMO players. It's a space for solo players, social crews, and crafters, risk takers, and yes, even pirates. If Ashes of Creation finds the right balance between danger and recovery, between solo and crewed play, between accessibility and ambition, it could create the most meaningful fishing system in MMO history. It's not just about catching fish, it's about catching feelings for the sea, for your crew, and for the world of Verra. Let's hope we see this vision start to take form in Phase 3, because for many of us, the ocean is calling. And if you're still here, thanks for watching. And if you're looking for a guild to start out with on August 26th for the Phase 3. Take a look at the About section or the description in this link and come check out Aura. We'd be glad to have you, and we love taking in new players and helping them out. Until then, may all your caravans find safe passage. Take care, Verra.